Hello and welcome to our third and last portion of the orientation, MyStatLab. In this part of the orientation, we will take a look at the module, MyStatLab, and go through some of these menu items that lead you to MyStatLab. Once you're on Canvas, one of the modules we have here is MyStatLab. MyStatLab contains links to the publisher-provided learning management system where you would mainly be doing homework and taking some exams. You can also have access to the textbook and some other resources that you can find in Tools for Success and Multimedia Library. They also have a tutoring service that you can try out. Now, the very first time you do this, it will ask you for a registration commitment. This is part of the inclusive access that we have through the bookstore. So let's click on it the first time. And you will see an agreement, a licensing agreement that we need to agree to. So if you just scroll all the way down and accept, then you are now in MyStatLab. Now the first thing they ask for here is to make sure that your browser is complete, and so you can go through this check to make sure that everything is going to work properly. So let's close this out. And now let's go through the process of doing homework. So once you've logged in, the next time you go into MyStatLab, you will not need to register anymore because you're already registered. So here's your homework link. We have the due dates on the left side and the assignments in the right, well, more like the middle. After doing one or two of these assignments, you'll see your gradebook scores populate. So let's take a look at a homework assignment. Let's go to section 2.2 and see what kind of problems we have. So in this section, it looks like we have 6 questions. And questions range from multiple choice answers to filling in numbers to drop-down menus, and you'll get a variety of these types of questions. So let's do this one. Identify the class width. So the class width is the difference between 2 consecutive lower class limits or upper class limits. It looks like that's going to be 5. So let's type an answer of 5. Let's click on the check answer button, and you get immediate feedback, as you can see. The class midpoints, let's try guessing 52, 57, 62, 67, 72, 77, 82. Let's check that. We got that right again. The class boundaries, let's try putting in numbers 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85. I'll check your answer. You can see that if you get your problem incorrect, they'll tell you that it was incorrect and they will give you a hint. So sometimes the hints are useful, sometimes they just direct you to what's stated in the book. So that just means you have to try again. So let's try again. Let's try this time 84.5. Nope, we're still incorrect. So as you can see, we checked twice, and this is the final check. And so if we're able to find our mistake, we can find it. If not, it looks like our mistake might be here at 64.5, but let's say we do a final check and we got it incorrect, they tell us the answer. So right now, it looks like we have this partially correct, but we can do a similar question and go through the same process again. So let's go through the same process. This time I'm just going to skip over. Maybe we can do this with the first one. The differences between two consecutive orders is 4. The class midpoints would be the average between 32 and 35. So if we add them together, we're going to get 67. If we divide by 2, we're going to get 33.5. So let's try 33.5 here, and then we'll fill in the rest. All right, we'll check our answer. That looks good. And then finally, let's find the class boundaries. Class boundaries are usually 0.5s to the left and in between each class. So the first boundary should be the 0.5 before 32, so that would be 31.5. And we'll fill in the rest. All right, we'll check our answer. So now I want you to focus on this check mark /x that looks like we were partially correct. If we close this out, we can see that this is fully correct, and so now we're going to get full credit for this. So somebody asked me one time if you're able to change your answers as many times as you want or do similar questions as many times as you want, that you really can't get a less than 100% on any of these assignments. Well, my answer to that was that is correct, but you actually have to do it before the deadline. So if you do it past the deadline, you'll get points taken off. And if you do it, well, you won't be able to do it past the exam. So make sure you do this on time. If you allocate enough time for yourself, you can always get 100% on these assignments. Okay. So you don't have to save this. What you could do is you could just go to the next question, and if for some reason this window closes on you, or power outage or whatever else the case might be, you can always go back to MyStatLab, to your homework assignments, and take a look at the work that you're working on, and you can see the check mark here, and this is something that you've already done. Now there are extra credit points for our class, and you can find those extra credit problems in the quiz/test section. So the reading assessments account for 2% extra credit. We also have exams here. You'll find your portions of the exams here. So we won't do the test, or we won't do the exams, but it's very similar to the homework assignments. Okay, there are study plans here, which is more exercise problems that you can do. StatCrunch, eText, and ebook are other resources you can get to. You can click on the textbook, for example, which will open up for you. And if you actually rent the book, we'll agree to the terms. If you rent the textbook from the bookstore or if you buy it, you'll see that this textbook will look exactly like how it would look like as if you were holding it. So this is the cover, and we can get to chapter 2, for example, and section 2, which is what we were working on. And you can play around with this. You can bookmark pages. You can make your text a little bit larger. You can jump to different pages. You can go one page at a time. You can search for things. And then click on it. It'll take you to the page. These also are clickable items. So you can click on these things to do examples. You can also click on the video icon to show videos. So basically there's a lot of resources you can get within the textbook itself. So aside from the textbook, there's also this tab called Tools for Success. Tools for Success has videos, more videos, little applets, some animated flowcharts. It has direct links to StatCrunch. You can obtain data sets. You can explore a different type of program called StatDisk, and you can take a look at manuals that use different technologies. So Excel is a fairly common program that you can use. You can check this out to take a look at how to use Excel, StatCrunch, and then there's graphing calculators. So if you want to explore StatDisk, you can click on this as well. I suggest that you try to click on it early on in the semester so that you can get used to using one of these programs. There's also tutorial videos for a handful of these programs and some study cards. The next module is access to the multimedia library. The multimedia library allows you to quickly find videos or video lectures or PowerPoint presentations of a particular chapter and a particular section of the textbook. So if I select Chapter 2, Section 2.2, I can get a list of PowerPoint presentations, some section video lectures, and some videos of some exercise problems. There's also animation, the textbooks, and some of these other things that you can find. If you select all and find now, then you can easily access these resources. There's a gradebook in MyStatLab as well. This gradebook is left open for you to figure out how well you're doing with your homework assignments, your quizzes, and your exams that are in MyStatLab. Remember that this is not your gradebook that will count towards your score. These are only gradebook scores that are related to MyStatLab. And then finally, the publisher, Pearson, provides tutoring services. So once you're logged on, you can access some tutoring services by getting started here, and then it'll bring you to some site where you can ask questions and somebody should be able to answer. that is the breakdown, the rundown for MyStatLab. It'll be up to you to do more exploring so you can get used to this program. And once you're comfortable, you can just navigate through fairly easily without any issues. So, good luck with your work, and I'll see you online.